Once upon a time, in a small village called Agilite, there was a girl named Amina. She wasn't an ordinary girl, she was like a roaring lion in a school full of sheep. Everyone feared her, teachers, students, even the principal. Amina was big, strong, and never smiled. If she walked by, people moved out of her way. If she sat next to you, you didn't dare breathe too loudly. No one wanted to be on her bedside because Amina didn't forgive or forget. Amina was different. While most students were 16 or 17, she was already 21. She had repeated classes 5 times but didn't care. People called her a mommy of the school because she acted like an adult among children. But she wasn't responsible, she was wild. She came to school when she felt like it, slept in class, never did homework, and yawned in teachers' faces when they asked her questions. No one could control her, not the teachers, the principal, or even the village elders. She was like a storm no one could stop. And she loved trouble. If there was peace, she'd break it. If it was quiet, she'd make noise. If you looked at her wrong, she'd fight you. One day, a teacher told her, "Amina, sit properly." She turned to him with cold eyes and said, "Do you want me to sit on your head?" The class gasped. The teacher sighed and walked away. Even the principal had given up. "Just let her be," he said. "She'll leave one day." But Amina had no plans to leave. In Agilite Community School, everyone knew one thing: where Amina was, trouble followed. And her story was just beginning. Before Amina became the school's terror, she was just another student, stubborn but not feared. Then, one day, everything changed. Amina came to school late, chewing gum, swinging her arms like she owned the place. A senior student, Colonel, saw her and scolded her. "Why are you late? Go and kneel down." Amina ignored him. Colonel, one of the toughest seniors, grabbed his cane and hit her twice. Some students whispered warnings, "Leave her alone. She's not someone you should punish." But Colonel laughed. "I'll teach her a lesson," he said. He made her cut grass under the hot sun for hours. Amina didn't cry or beg. She just looked at him and said, "Be prepared. Don't run home after school." When school ended, Amina waited outside. As Colonel walked out, she grabbed him, dragged him behind the fence, and beat him up. She slapped him, punched him, and even shoved sand in his mouth. The next day, Colonel came to school bruised and silent. From that day, no one dared to cross Amina. Her reign of terror had begun. Amina caused trouble again, this time with a respected teacher, Mr. Salami. Till one hot afternoon, the students sat quietly in class, waiting for their history teacher, Mr. Salami. He was patient, kind, and never shouted. But that day, something unexpected happened. At the back of the class, Amina was eating a big plate of rice and chicken, licking her fingers and chewing loudly. The smell filled the room. The students stayed silent, afraid to speak. Mr. Salami walked in and saw Amina. "Amina," he said calmly, "can you save your food for later?" Amina ignored him, crunching on a chicken bone. Mr. Salami tried again. "Amina, stop eating." She wiped her mouth, looked at him like he was bothering her, and then threw a chicken bone at him. It hit his chest, splattering oil on his white shirt. The class gasped. No one had ever done something like this. Mr. Salami lost his patience. "Amina, come outside now," he ordered, his voice sharp. Amina stood up slowly, picked up her plate, and walked to the front. Everyone thought she'd put the plate down, but instead, she poured the entire meal on his head. Rice, chicken, and stew covered him. The class screamed. Mr. Salami slapped her, but Amina didn't cry. She just looked at him coldly and said, "Don't try that again." Mr. Salami, furious, raised his hand to hit her again. Big mistake. Amina caught his wrist, punched him, grabbed a chair, and swung it at him. He fell, and she jumped on him, punching and kicking like a wild animal. Students ran out of the room. When other teachers finally pulled her off, Mr. Salami was bleeding badly. They rushed him to the hospital. After that day, the school was silent. Mr. Salami never returned. His chair sat empty, and his books gathered dust. The students whispered about what happened, and the teachers were scared. "This girl is dangerous," one teacher said. "If she can beat a teacher, who's next?" Even the principal was at a loss. He had never seen a student like Amina. Amina, however, walked around like nothing had happened. The school waited to see what she would do next, but Mr. Salami was gone for good. Amina had broken him, and nothing in Edgelite Community School would ever be the same. The teachers had finally had enough. First, Amina beat a senior student. Then, she beat a teacher so badly he disappeared. Who would be next? The principal. The staff room buzzed with anger. "We can't let this continue," one teacher said. "She's not a student, she's a wild animal," another added. Even the principal, Mr. George, sighed and rubbed his forehead. There was no choice left. She had to be expelled. That morning, during assembly, Mr. George called Amina forward. She strolled up slowly, chewing gum, her hands in her pockets, looking at him with no respect. He held up a paper and announced, "Amina, you are no longer a student of this school. You are expelled." The school erupted in cheers. Finally, some students whispered, even some teachers smiled. But Amina just stood there, blowing a bubble with her gum. Then she said, "Come and take me out if you can." Mr. George's face turned red. "Leave now," he shouted. Amina didn't move. Furious, he marched over and pushed her from behind. "I said leave, you animal." Big mistake. Before anyone could react, Amina turned and punched him in the face. Blood poured from his nose. The students gasped. The teachers froze. Mr. George stumbled back, holding his face. Amina wasn't done. She grabbed the expulsion letter, tore it into pieces, and threw it at him. "You can send me away," she said. Then, bash, she kicked his jaw, knocking out 2 teeth. The students screamed. The teachers ran. The principal fell unconscious. Amina dusted her hands and walked away. The next week, 5 teachers resigned. The school was in chaos. The principal was in the hospital, missing 2 teeth. The students whispered Amina's name like a curse. Something had to be done. 4 of the strongest teachers, Mr. Ode, Mr. Hassan, Mr. Obi, and Mr. Fella, decided to confront her. They marched to her classroom, canes in hand. "Amina, stand up and follow us," one ordered. Amina ignored him, tearing a page from her book and throwing it at his face. Another teacher stepped forward. "Don't test us today. Come outside now." Amina yawned and leaned back. "I'm not going anywhere." The teachers surrounded her. The first one grabbed her wrist. Big mistake. Amina twisted his arm, elbowed him in the stomach, and swung a desk at the second teacher, sending him crashing into the blackboard. The third tried to hold her down, but she kicked his legs out from under him. The last teacher stepped back, whispering, "This girl is not normal." But Amina wasn't done. She picked up a broken chair and charged at him, hitting him so hard the chair split in 2. All 4 teachers lay on the floor, groaning. The class was silent. Amina wiped her hands and sat back down. The students stared in horror. That evening, the whole village talked about it. "That girl is cursed," one elder said. "She's not normal," another agreed. No one had ever seen a girl fight for men and win. From that day, no teacher dared to touch Amina again. Everyone in Edgelite village feared her. They called her cursed, said she had the strength of 10 men. But no one knew her story, what she had seen, what she had lived through, what had made her this way. Amina's home was no home, it was a war zone. Her father was a drunk and a gambler, wasting money and shouting at everyone. Her mother was a prostitute, leaving at night in short skirts to find men. Every night, they fought. Plates shattered, chairs broke, and curses filled the air. Sometimes, her father slapped her mother until her face swelled. Other times, her mother stabbed him with a broken bottle. Blood, shouting, screaming, crying, this was Amina's childhood. There was no love, no peace, no kindness, just war. Growing up in such chaos, Amina became a soldier. She learned to fight before she could write, to shout before she could read, and to survive before she could live. One day, at 12, she tried to stop her parents. "Baba, stop," she cried, holding his arm. But her father slapped her so hard she fell. That day, Amina stopped crying. She became stone, hard, unfeeling, fearless. She learned that only the strong survive. If her parents could hurt each other, why should she respect anyone? Her home was a battlefield, and she carried that war everywhere, to school, to class, to teachers, to the principal. She fought because it was all she knew. Amina wasn't just angry, she was fire, raised in flames. No one in Edgelite village knew her story. They only saw the monster she had become. Then, one day, soldiers came to the school for a corps members' orientation. The students stood in neat lines, singing the national anthem. But Amina walked in late, chewing gum, ignoring the anthem like it meant nothing. A soldier called her out. "Recite the anthem," he ordered. Amina refused. When he grabbed her, she slapped him. The school froze. No one had ever slapped a soldier. The soldier's face turned cold. "Take her to the barracks," he said. At the barracks, the punishment was brutal. Amina was forced to roll in mud, crawl under barbed wire, carry heavy sandbags, and run until she collapsed. By the third day, she was broken, weak, barely able to move. For the first time, Amina felt small. Uche, a kind corps member, stepped in. He pleaded with the soldiers to let her go, promising to help her change. Reluctantly, they agreed but warned that if she misbehaved again, both would face consequences. Amina was freed, but she was no longer the same. The fire in her eyes was dim. Uche placed a hand on her shoulder. "You can be great, Amina. I believe in you." But would Amina change? Could Uche really help her, or would he face her wrath too? Only time would tell. Subscribe and join us in part 2 to find out what later happened. Thank you.